Students, and welcome to our class on the career counseling process. Today, we are going to be talking about the integration of both personal counseling with career counseling. Of course, I know we're familiar with the definition of counseling, but just as a refresher, let's talk about what counseling is. According to Merriam-Webster Dictionary, counseling is professional guidance of the individual by utilizing psychological methods, especially in collecting case history data, using various techniques of the personal interview, and testing interests and aptitudes. It's a very technical definition, right? We want to think about what career counseling is then in relation to our definition of counseling. Career counseling is offering help in making and implementing career-related decisions, help in adjusting to work and managing one's career, as well as help in negotiating career transitions and work-life balance. So you can see that these are maybe a little more focused on the career aspect of someone's life, but it does still involve the personal components of a person's daily interactions and experience. When we're thinking about career and personal counseling, counselors and psychologists must be prepared for career and personal concerns to coexist. Career counseling is deeply intertwined with overlapping issues. I think we talked about this in our first class that we had this semester, how almost always when a career concern arises, there will be a personal concern somewhere along the lines, either as a barrier or as an impacting experience to what is creating this career concern. So it's something that we need to keep in mind when we're working with both our clients in a maybe more traditional setting or if we are in a career setting. And when it comes down to it, counseling comes first. We want to move across the continuum with the client. So we're going to always think about setting goals, establishing rapport, really identifying the presenting problem, developing our treatment plan, and working through the strategies that we have to help our clients. Counseling comes first. When it comes to integrating career and personal counseling, the call for the counseling profession to integrate career and personal counseling was heightened in the 1990s. Work became a core element of an individual's everyday existence, and it gives meaning to the many facets of each person's life. It should be addressed more um, intentionally in the counseling profession. So, what's being suggested now is a more holistic counseling approach that is more inclusive when addressing client concerns. So it's very different from early on in the career counseling field, where it was strictly you came in for your career guidance and then you went on to see someone else. Now we're seeing that career counseling and personal counseling are highly integrated. So we want to think about how do you effectively integrate an individual's career and personal concerns. One of the things that we really want to consider, again, I mentioned a holistic model, is the biopsychosocial model. So the contributions of cognitive science and neuroscience have underscored the position that the interplay of biological, psychological, and social influences are recognized as major forces that drive behavior. And this is our everyday behavior, our relationships, our interactions, but it's also our career behavior, right? There are interrelationships of personal and career problems that affect multiple life roles. So we're looking at all three areas in order to have a better overview of where our clients are coming from and how we can best serve them. Some biological factors that we're going to be considering would be physical health, maybe genetic vulnerabilities or effects of medications that our clients may be taking. Some social factors that we want to look at would be peers, peer relationships, family circumstances, and family dynamics. And then psychological factors that we would maybe put our attention toward would include, again, physical health, our clients' coping skills, even their social skills, their family dynamics again, and then where is their self-esteem level? Well, how are they experiencing themselves in the world in which they operate in, as well as their mental health? Are there any mental health concerns that may be contributing to some career difficulties that they are facing or indecision that they are coming across? So we are looking, like we said, a multifaceted approach. We're going to look at four domains of client concern. We want to, of course, we're addressing career here in this course. So we're going to look at career concerns, affect concerns that may be present, cultural concerns, as well as cognitive behavioral concerns. So we're going to be taking a look at each of these. The first that we'll look at here is career concerns. When you have a client who comes in specifically for career counseling, they may be facing any number of these at the time. So there may be some indecision, difficulty deciding what to do next, what they want to do, how to commit to something for the rest of their lives. That seems to be a very common theme when someone's trying to make a career decision is the permanency of that decision. Also, deficiencies in basic skills. You know, we are now in a time and place that some of those basic skills have been eliminated from the learning experience. So there may be a deficiency in some basic skills. There might be career maturity issues, a poor work identity. Someone that has never worked before, they may not understand who they are in the world of work. Some work impairments. They may be facing work maladjustment, having difficulty adjusting to the work environment. Also, again, you may find clients at different seasons of their life and their career transition. So you might have someone adjusting to a career transition, and that can be a challenge and a concern that they are facing. We'll also see that balancing life roles can be very difficult, and it can impact not only personal life, but also our career world. Job loss is a very common occurrence. Stressors that they may be facing in their career, maybe they're facing them in their career and they're impacting them in their home. At times, there may be violence in the workplace, whether it be blatant or subtle. That violence can be very impactful, and they may not know what to do or how to handle that. They may feel stuck, they may feel stifled, and that's something that they'll present in a counseling session. Relational problems, failure to adapt to changing work requirements. We talked a lot about this last class where technology is constantly changing. The environment that we work in is changing. The expectations are always changing. And so helping our clients that come in with those challenges in adapting to those changing work environments. We are creatures of habit. We like consistency. And so how do we help someone who's facing maybe a lot of change at their work? And then adjusting to retirement. And this is one of those that seems maybe a little surprising, but can also be very impactful to those individuals that are preparing to retire. There's an excitement, there's an enjoyment, there's some hope that they're looking forward to so many new things in their life. And there comes a great deal of additional emotion. And once they step into that retirement phase, kind of helping them through that change in the dynamics from going to work every single day, having a consistent schedule and routine, to now really making a new plan for their life and seeing what that looks like and how to create new connections outside of their career. Some of the strategies that you might utilize when you're looking at these career concerns, of course, would be using an assessment of traits. Again, different strategies for different concerns. So this is a kind of a blanket list here that you would apply in different areas, but we can use the assessment of traits to help when we're indecisive or maybe when we're struggling to find our placement, adjust to our work world and our work situation and environment. Clarifying interests can be extremely helpful. It can help people build their self-esteem actually and know that it's not maybe they're failing, it's just their interests that keep them from being able to pursue something in a different way. A self-concept development, also extremely beneficial strategy when you have career concerns that your clients are bringing to you. Vocational identity development. Who are they when it comes to career, comes to their work world versus who are they outside of that, right? If work is their job and they go and they're going to spend 90,000 hours of their life there, they're going to have a vocational identity, a work identity. Awareness of developmental stages and tasks, again, helping them recognize that this is a typical patterned experience, that this is to be expected, kind of normalizing some of the things that they may be experiencing in a very strong way. Rational decision making, using self-directed career maintenance to help them. Interpersonal skill development. So when we aren't quite where we want to be, maybe we're seeing that we are lacking some basic skills, or maybe we're lacking skills required for our career. How can we help them with skill development? And finding additional sources of job satisfaction, work adjustment variables, and coping with job loss and preparing for retirement. So these are all going to be strategies that you might utilize when you come across these career concerns. Next area we're going to talk about would be affect. Of course, there's going to be concerns when we notice a client comes with emotional instability, maybe feelings of sadness, anxiety, anger. They're experiencing panic attacks. There's impulsivity, maybe some poor self-esteem, feelings of inferiority or helplessness. Uh, Maybe they're noticing their experience a depressed mood more frequently than before, lethargy or fatigue, and poor personal relationships. And some of the strategies, just like we see in our traditional counseling, we're going to utilize would be empathy, active listening, awareness techniques, helping our clients notice when these emotions or affects are showing up for them and how they can maybe attend to those. Dignity and worth of the individual, reinforcing their value, helping with self-regulation, teaching some of those strategies and techniques. A focus on the wholeness of the individual, not the individual parts. Insight and awareness, drawing connections to where these emotions may be stemming from or how they may be activated or triggered in them. Looking at the meaning in life that they do have and that they can connect to. Focusing on positive regard and also using an internal frame of reference. The third area we're going to look at will be cultural concerns. This is going to be something that we'll see in our clients and help them face as they enter into the work world, as well as walk through life. So we want to think about some of the concerns that may come into our office, deficiencies in the use of English language and basic skills, poor adjustment to the dominant cultural values, again, kind of really struggling to adjust to what their current situation has expected of them versus where they came from and what their family values are, their cultural values are. A collectivist worldview, some culture shock. That, things are a little different in the world of work here versus where they came from. Maybe a lack of job skills, difficulty with assimilating new lifestyle, restrictive emotions, and the level of cultural identity, the effects of discrimination and oppression they may be experiencing, especially in the work world, and relating to others. So when it comes to these cultural concerns, we want to look at some of the strategies below. We want to focus on the level of acculturation and worldview, assisting our clients in developing cultural identity and helping them with their cultural orientation. Maybe focusing on work-related values to distinguish between cultural values and work-related values, maybe assist them in some areas. Culturally appropriate assessment techniques and resources. This is important. You don't want to be giving an assessment or offering resources that won't connect for clients when it comes to a cultural differentiation. Adjustment techniques to new socioeconomic systems and using Indigenous helpers if necessary or needed, providing alternative counseling procedures. Again, meeting your client where they are. This is so important in career and in personal counseling. And then an expanded repertoire of helping responses. So continuing to learn on our own as well, making sure that we are staying on top of the latest and greatest techniques and strategies and the issues that our clients may be facing as they are coming into our offices. The final area that we're going to be focusing on, the final domain, is the cognitive behavioral. And some of the concerns that we want to look at or maybe noticing here would be faulty thinking, inappropriate behavior, self-destructive behavior, cognitive distortion, maladaptive behavior, maybe some faulty beliefs, overgeneralizations of negative experiences, some poor information processing skills, and problems in decision making. So again, we want to think about how are we going to best help our clients if they come in and we really notice that some of these cognitive behavioral things are a focus of the presenting problem, what brought them in and what we need to look forward to working with them on. So some of the strategies that we can utilize would include counter conditioning, bibliotherapy, teaching reframing, using systematic desensitization strategies, modeling for our clients to help them understand maybe what is appropriate, what is not appropriate behavior, especially in the workplace. Contingency management, providing them with homework assignments, utilizing assertiveness training, problem-solving techniques, some contracting, and also social skills training. So again, you can see there's the 4 different domains that you want to be considering whenever we're approaching that career counseling process. so that we can really provide a holistic approach to our clients. It's important with the career counseling process that the counselor and client work together to develop the client's self and situational knowledge as shaped in person and environment interactions. We want to make sure that the client understands themselves well and they also can be themselves in their situation and approach their situation in a way that is going to benefit them in their career, and be authentic to who they are as well. We want to make sure that personal problems are not separated from career problems because they are intertwined. It's really easy, I think, sometimes to see a problem and say, oh, okay, that one, here's the strategy for that. We can address that. And then we'll move on to maybe this personal issue. But within the personal and the career problems, they are intertwined. So we want to be working on both of those together simultaneously. And career counseling is a highly personal matter that includes the multidimensional self and its relationship to life and work. So we're being gentle, we're being empathetic, we're making sure that we are offering our client, the temperament that provides them the space of safety, so that they can feel secure as they're unpacking and learning more about themselves and identifying maybe the the things that they need to access or do in order to be successful in the career um, concern that they have, as well as their personal concern that might be linked to that. There are multiple career counseling settings that you will see um, throughout society. So there are educational settings. Our guidance counselors are going to be offering some career counseling. Our academic advisors at the schools, at the universities are going to be offering career counseling. You also have career and technical education settings and university career centers. So this is again, multiple people across the industry and educational settings are going to be offering some type of career counseling to individuals. There are also corporate and private settings, so government agencies, rehabilitation centers, placement services, and even in private practice as well. These are just different places where you may see this integrated or specifically focused upon. When it comes to career counseling, we want to consider these components of the intake interview. So the purpose of the interview is to learn as much as possible about the individual and use that information to make connections between career and personal concerns, right? So we're going to utilize self-report forms. We're going to clarify the reasons that our clients have given for coming to counseling, making sure that we're understanding exactly what they've stated and that we're on the same page. Sometimes the initial reason they make that appointment changes before they get to you, or as you're talking with them and reading through those self-report forms, you're able to identify maybe something more specific to what they had written down as far as what brought them to counseling. And then using the self-report information to establish rapport with your clients. Again, sometimes we can be very quick problem solvers and we can go, okay, that's why you're here, and here's what I can do to help you. And we really want to make sure that our clients feel connected and they feel like they are able to trust the process and trust us as we guide them through that process as well. So building rapport through that self-report information, asking deeper questions, getting to understand, what they might have meant by this part or that part. This is a great place to use some of those initial tools that we'll talk about as well in coming classes. The key components of the intake interview in career counseling include the same as kind of what I started talking about last slide, gathering, identifying information. We want to know a little bit more about our client, maybe their age, their academic background, their educational background. That would be the same as academic, I suppose. Their career background. What have they done even early in their life? If they did, volunteer, if they were in groups and clubs at school, if they were on teams, if they had a part-time job while they were in high school, if we're working with someone past high school, if we're working with someone in a career transition, those are all really great pieces of information to get as well in the beginning. So gathering some of that information, defining the presenting problem, again, really being clear on what they have come into counseling for, what is it that they need our assistance with, and assessing their current state. We want to make sure our client is safe, sound mind, and able to be present in these sessions, and that we're meeting their needs where they are in that moment. We also can identify biopsychosocial factors contributing to the client's position. So also noting any barriers that we talked about from our Venn diagram there earlier, exploring the client's career history and experience with career development up to date. So now we have a little bit of background information and identifying information, but now we're going to dive into, what is your history with and experience with career development? As we talked about it in our first class together, I know some of us have had great experiences and some of us have had not so beneficial experiences. So really understanding where they're coming from and what might be a good next step by knowing what their experience has been up to this point. And then formulating client goals. So we understand their presenting problem, and now we're going to establish those goals with them. So when it comes to clarifying problems, the client problem identification is important and always the first step. The counselors need to clarify the concerns and needs in a format that is straightforward and concrete. I think sometimes when we have a client sitting in front of us, their mind is going a mile a minute. And so they're thinking of like, well, I think maybe this, and then this might also be, and then this might be a thing too. And it can kind of feel a little murky. So helping our clients develop that clear, straightforward, concrete concern and clarifying problem, because then we know where we're working from. It doesn't mean it can't change. It just simply means it gives us a great, really solid starting point. And then also addressing any negative cognitions immediately. So if we know what's going on, we can really take a quick approach, an instant action on those negative cognitions to help our clients maybe overcome that barrier before we even dive in further. So negative cognitions will be faulty beliefs and assumptions that have been a primary target of human service practitioners over time. The negative views of the future about self and about the world of work suggest that a client has low self-esteem as well as self-concept and self-efficacy deficits. So we really want to be paying attention to those because now we're looking at something else beyond maybe what they came in saying was their presenting problem. Negative cognitions usually increase the level of demeaning self-talk that can lead to indecision and negative overgeneralizations. We can see that our clients get stuck because they think poorly about maybe themselves, about a career, about an opportunity, and then they will overgeneralize. And so we'll really be on a merry-go-round with our clients rather than a forward motion movement. So I want you to think about what are some additional negative cognitions that may create barriers when working with a client with a career counseling focus. And there are a couple questions throughout our presentation that you can utilize, and I'll reflect on those at the end here too in our holiday assignment review to just reflect on and share maybe your perspective or response. So this would be one of those. Some additional negative cognitions that may create barriers when working with a client with a career counseling focus. So when we're establishing our client relationship, we want to make sure we build a strong working alliance. We want to establish those mutual goals, and we want to identify personal obstacles. So that's really our starting point with our client. We also want to think about developing an action plan. So once that rapport is there and we have our initial concerns and establish those mutual goals together, now we can look at kind of our action plan. So if you look here on the screen, you can see there are 5 different parts to this action plan. The first one here is self-assessment. Then we have goal setting, which we've already talked a little bit about establishing those mutual goals. Research and exploration, strategy development, and implementation and review. So self-assessment is where we're going to assess someone's interests, their values, their personality. We're going to determine personal motivation, and we're also going to evaluate technical and transferable skills. So the interests, values, and personality, that's important because we want to make sure we know more about our client, but that they know about themselves. Think about yourself. And if you were to be asked, what do you love doing? Or what do you value? What are some of your personal values? Without having assessments or really knowing yourself well, those can be really hard to identify. And so through self-assessment, and hopefully you've done some of those already that you've been given to do, you'll be able to help your client understand their own interests, their own values, and their own personality. Self-assessment is really important as well because a lot of times a client who feels indecisive or unsure or has a low sense of self will cling to what we might offer as ideas versus really identifying what is their own personal identity. And so we want to utilize self-assessments, and there are a variety of those. We will cover those in the career assessment portion of our class. We also want to determine personal motivation. While our interests and our values and our personality are definitely going to be a part of what leads us toward a career direction, our personal motivation is also going to be kind of what helps us push through those barriers when they show up and really allow us to be persistent and be consistent in doing the work to manage or maintain a career in the field that we choose. And then evaluating technical and transferable skills is so important because you may love something, you may have a huge interest in something, but just not have the skills for that and not be able to obtain those skills. And now we're going to have a new problem that shows up if you pursue that kind of field because you don't have the skills you need and you're unable to obtain them. So, really evaluating the skills that are there and that can be utilized. Maybe some of those technical and transferable skills will give us an idea of where to kind of point the client as far as directions and paths and things they maybe have not thought of before. We're going to look at setting goals, setting career goals specifically here. So again, in the beginning, we are establishing mutual goals. They've come in because they want to decide on a career path, or they've come in because they, are unhappy in their work and they feel like they just don't know what to do. They feel stuck. But now we're going to talk about setting career goals. And in doing that, we're going to explore beliefs about self. We're going to identify needs and strengths, supports, and barriers that exist. So making sure that we're looking at what is it that the client needs? What do they have? What's working well? What are they thriving in? Do they have support around them? And what are the barriers that are keeping them from maybe reaching their own personal needs, meeting their own personal needs? We want to determine personal values, work values, and motivations. And again, some of this overlaps from that initial part of self-assessment. And that's the beautiful thing is it continues to be a conversation. We want to reflect on interests, abilities, education, and previous work history to help us with setting career goals, exploring job information and training, and then connecting with others in the industry. So when we're setting career goals, we want to kind of think about where they want to be and help identify beliefs about self and strengths, needs, all of those things, while also looking ahead at what's out there and does that maybe feel like something I want to pursue or feel like a place that I'm moving in that direction toward. The research and exploration component of our action plan. So we've got a client and they've done their self-assessments and they've set their career goals and decided, okay, I know based on what I've learned about myself and what I understand about this field that I want to pursue something in this area, or I want to pursue a career change, or I'm ready for retirement. Well, we want to help our clients before they make those steps understand that a little bit more in depth, a little bit more thoroughly. So we're going to look at research. And here are some tools that can be really helpful. We're going to help our clients research career information. So if I will click on this here, and you'll be able to see that this takes us to the Occupational Network Online, or ONET Online. This website is a great research resource. So you can go into this website, and after you've done self-assessment and you understand yourself a little bit more and your clients a little bit more, you're going to help them walk through some of this research. Let's say they've decided that they want to be an audiologist, but they're not really sure all of the components of what that means. So you can go in and specifically type in a career, and it will actually show you the information about that career. So here we see that we have an audiologist this is what they do. They access and treat persons with hearing and related disorders. They may fit hearing aids, provide auditory training, or may perform research related to hearing problems. You're going to see some sample job titles because again, everyone likes to name their career something different. So when you're searching for careers and you're looking online for job opportunities, it may be under a different title. This is a great place to find out what are some of those other titles. You can get a quick summary. You can show your clients a quick summary. Here are the tasks that are typical of that career. Here are some of the technology skills that you'll need in that field. Do you have those? Can you develop those? Do we want to work towards those? Are they of no interest to you, right? All good things for you to be looking at with your clients. What are the work activities for that career? Here are some of the specific things that they're going to be doing. And again, it's important to talk with your client and say, here, we see they're going to be assisting and caring for others. Um, how do you feel about that? Do you want to be interacting with people every day on a regular basis, consistently? Maybe working with computers. What is your experience? What is your comfort level? Is that something that you prefer? Some people don't want to sit and work behind a computer for half of their work hours. So really using this information to help guide based off of client interests, client skills, client comfort, client's desires. You can see some detailed work activities. And again, there's 5 of 26 displayed here. So if we click on that, we're going to get a longer list, more comprehensive, that allows our client to better understand what this career looks like, right? Same thing here, the work context. And then we're going to see their job zone. This lets them know what kind of experience do they need? What level of education are they going to need for this career? That's also a deciding factor for a lot of clients when it's decision-making time or transition time for careers. So looking and saying, oh, okay, for this career, you do need a doctoral degree. All right, is that something I want to pursue? Is that feasible? Does that make good sense for my life in the stage that I'm in? You can also specify, and this is really a fantastic tool, the state in which you live or are planning on living, even locally, to find out the training and credentials available. So let's just say we went into California, um, and we wanted to have a California license clearly. And now if we wanted to see, okay, where could I go to school in California for this? Now I have a long list, and it's going to tell me the program that I would study, at what university or school, and the degrees that are offered there for that prospective career. So this, again, is really great to use with anyone who's in a career decision or career transition and they're needing to pursue education. You're going to be able to find out where you can access that education for their personal location. We're going to move on down. You can see apprenticeship opportunities. You can actually it gives you links and access to those things. Worker requirements, the skills they need. Again, a drop down here to see more. The knowledge that is going to be beneficial to them. And you'll notice that most of these are large, they're broader skill categories or broader knowledge categories. And that's where we want to utilize past experiences to really connect for our clients where they came from and what work they've done and what skills they have. Maybe they're like, well, I've never worked a day in my life. I don't think I could do any of this. Okay, but you've been on a sports team, or you've been a member of student council, or you were in this club at school. Let's talk about how your skills and your knowledge transfer there. And then again, we're going to continue on down. You can see interest code. It does connect us to Holland's interest code. So you can notice the ones that are top in Holland's interest code here. Work values, it'll highlight the top 3 work values there, and even work styles. And what everyone always wants to know when it comes to pursuing a new career or transitioning is income. So it will also provide you with a breakdown of the average wages based off of the Bureau of Labor and Statistics for the most recent year that was reported, and you can look by state. So there we go. Let's say we wanted to look at the state wages in Colorado or California. And here we go. We can see that the average individual ranges from 60,000 to 169,000. Average is about 123 right there in the center. And you can get full details as well. So this is just a terrific career research resource that you can walk your clients through. I would encourage you jump on and look at all that it has to offer. You can also see here, that was just by typing in the title of the career. If we go further and we look at some of maybe they're not sure what title they're pursuing, what they want to be doing. What we can do is we can click on finding occupations, and we can look by Bright Outlook. Bright Outlook simply means that it is a career that is trending upward as far as accessibility, as far as more opportunities. This is a great tool, great field to be in. So if we clicked on that, we can select by rapid growth, by job openings, by new and emerging, or just all. And we're going to see, and they're noted by this sunshine beside it. We're going to see a whole long list. And again, all you simply do is you click on the career that you're looking at, and let's say civil engineer, And now you're going to get that same information for that career. You can also use this site to search specifically by career cluster. So this is going to be more specific to the area that your client may be interested in. Maybe they're coming from something in construction and they're wanting to look for other careers in construction. Now we can do that. We can click on construction and we're going to see a long list of careers that are related to that field or that area. Same thing, hot technology, industry, job family. So this is going to give us a little more information here with our job families that it could be under, as well as job zone. This would be related to how much preparation is required for this career. STEM related careers. You can see you can search for those specifically. And all occupations if you don't want to narrow it down that concisely. There are all different methods and ways to search here for career opportunities. We have this crosswalk option. So if you're working with someone within the military, you can actually go in and say, oh, they worked in the Air Force. Let's see. I don't know what this actually example. Oh, there we go. So you can go within the Marine Corps and you're going to get examples, helicopter crew chief. So there are going to be different classifications that are going to be helpful for you as well there if you are crosswalking. Got to go back a few. There we go. You can see all of those crosswalks there. So this is a great resource for research, and I can encourage you to utilize that when you are working in the research and exploration phase of career counseling. The next thing we have is career videos. So a lot of times our clients will be really excited and they'll be really sure, like, I know I want to do this. I want to be, an anesthesiologist and I'm going to love it because I've watched all of those medical dramas on TV and that's a great field and I know they make a lot of money. And so we want to be able to offer our clients exposure to that career. And in anesthesiology, video is probably going to be the easiest form for them to learn a little bit more about it versus going and seeing someone or finding someone they can talk to. So there's this career videos link that we can click on, and it will take us here to, let's see if it's there. There we go. Career One Stop. So this is another website that you can access on your own, and you can find here career videos. You're going to be able to search by the different career clusters here. You can actually, I think, even type in the career title at the top here, but let's again go back to that health science, and we're going to go to audiology. And now we have a video right here in front of us that tells us a little bit about what an audiologist does. Again, we get some of that similar information from the previous resource where we can see their average pay across the United States. This is a bright outlook career, so it's very likely to have job opportunities in the future. Tells us the typical training. This is a little shorter overview. And then we also have transcript available in Spanish. So this, you would just click play and you would be able to see and hear a little bit about this career. Okay. So that's a great resource again to also offer to your clients an experience with the career, right? So they have a better understanding of what that career is all about when we're doing that research. Another resource is going to be the labor market trends. So if we go here, we can see the Bureau of Labor Statistics that I had referenced earlier is also another site where you can research careers and the trends across the market. So similarly here, we can select our occupation. We can select by group, we can select by title, and we can even browse by highest paying, fastest growing, most new jobs projected, and field of degree. So let's just go ahead and go in here with most new jobs projected, and let's see what comes up here. So you can see that, again, based off of the most recent data, which would have been 2024, I believe they post their research every 2 years. So 2024, and we should see this updated in 2026. You can see that right now, the home health and personal care aides have the most projected new jobs for the next 10 years, 2024 to 2034. And this is the amount per over the course of across the United States. Sorry. You can then go through and look and see, oh, wow, software developers, stockers and order fillers, fast food and counter workers. So you can scroll down and look by most new jobs projected. Probably not the way you're going to guide your clients through searching, but it is there in case they're wondering, like, well, I just know I need to have a job and keep a job, and technology is taking jobs. So what is going to be there, right? But you can also go with, well, I have a degree in this and I don't know what to do with it. So if we go to field of degree, you can click on any of these areas and help find out what might they be able to do. And we're going to pick fine and performing arts because I feel like that's one that you get the degree and you're really excited and you know what you want to do, and then you decide you think you need to do something different, maybe. So here we go. We can see workers with this degree, the average annual wage, and we're looking at, again, types of majors, occupations, outlook, and more. So you can see here, it's going to give some of the different areas of occupations, top employing occupations for someone with a fine and performing arts degree. And here we get another list of those. So you can click on any of these. You can say, well, let's look at a graphic designer. And now it takes us into some of that, again, information about the career. This is a little less in depth than the occupational network, but it does still give us similar information and data. So as you become familiar with these sites, you'll know which ones you prefer to utilize with your clients as you're guiding them through career decisions. So that's another great resource when it comes to helping our clients just do that career research. And I want you to consider that. We also want to offer to our clients like real life interaction opportunities, right? So go to career fairs and workshops, talk to people in the industry that are doing this. Make sure you're networking. Maybe I know a lot of networking groups allow for visitors. So ask if you have someone who's in a networking group, have them ask them, would you allow me to come and visit with you one networking meeting? And then they can walk around and talk to all these professionals that are in these networking groups and learn a little bit about what they do and how they got there and, the transitions that they took. Career interviews are wonderful. Just learning about someone and what have they done in their profession and how did they get to where they are and would they do anything differently. Professional associations are a fantastic way for individuals to learn more about careers, as well as if that feels like a good fit, a right fit for them based off of their skills, interests, values, their motivation. Volunteer is going to give them hands-on experience. So working with clients, you may want to suggest a volunteer opportunity or a job shadowing opportunity. We have a wonderful group of people here in our area in the Valley that are open to having, especially teens, come and shadow them so that they can see what their jobs look like and decide if they want to pursue something in that same field. Internships are invaluable. You learn a lot by doing that internship work. And then even part-time employment. Maybe it's not the job you want for the rest of your life, but work part-time someplace to see if this is going to be a good fit, and helping your clients to see that, it's a exposure to something new and to see if it's going to be aligned with what they want to do, or as they move towards the future, or if it's making that transition, just really giving them that opportunity to do that research and exploration. As we continue to look at our action plan here, we developing our action plan, we do want to go ahead and take a look at our strategy development. So when you're looking at strategy development with your clients, you're going to be thinking about their specialization, focusing on developing expertise in a specific area of their field. Diversification, gaining experience in multiple areas to broaden their skill set. Maybe even entrepreneurship as an option, starting their own business, becoming a freelancer, partnering with someone, or even leadership, pursuing management or supervisory roles. So kind of considering some of the options that they may have in moving forward. This specifically may be helpful for clients that are making career transitions. um, and rather than those that are starting out in career decision making, but it could also be applicable to those clients as well. And then when we look at the stage of implementation and review, we want our clients to take action on the strategies and the um, procedures and processes that we've walked with them through. Then we want to look after they've taken action at some of their strengths in what they've done and what they've applied themselves to, as well as exploring any barriers that may have come up. This will also be where we might see some of those personal counseling concerns arise is in those strengths and barriers review. And then we can always reassess and restructure with our clients. So this is a really important part of that action plan, making sure that after our clients take an action, we are looking at how everything is working out and making adjustments as needed and assisting clients during that phase. Here you can see we have a little vignette. This is Crossroads with Shadows, and you get to meet Maya. So this is part of your assignment for the holiday assignment component. I would like for you all to read through this vignette and kind of after you've read through it, look at Maya's story, look at Maya's situation, and identify um, some key factors. What are some of the presenting problems or the initial concerns that we see here, both personal and career related for Maya? Also, maybe note what your treatment plan would be. Where in the process might Maya be in developing that action plan? What steps might you be taking with Maya? And then go ahead and write very brief, a one paragraph, just kind of uh, review of those components. Where is Maya at? What is she coming to counseling for? Her presenting concerns for both personal and career. And then what might be your treatment approach or your treatment plan with Maya? Again, it does not need to be very long. So I'd like for you to go ahead and take time to do that. As well as if you go back through the presentation, there were two different questions that I asked. If you could just provide a response to those, one, two sentences is fine. The first question was, how do you effectively integrate an individual's career and personal concerns? Maybe how would you effectively integrate an individual's career and personal concerns in counseling? And then the second question that we touched on was also that of what are some additional maybe negative cognitions that might create barriers when working with a client with a career counseling focus. So there are two different areas you can see through the slides where we had some questions, one to two sentences about both of those, and then just a short paragraph providing me your perspective and insight into Maya's presenting problems, both personal and career related, and a brief treatment approach that you might take with Maya based off of what we've talked about here today. I look forward to seeing you all next week, and I hope you have a wonderful holiday. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out via email. I will talk to you all next week. Have a great night.